John Doyle from OptixEQ, and in our last video we identified with the plot races that potentially can melt down and closers would benefit from. We want to do the opposite. In this one, we want to identify races where early pace has an advantage, and also maybe that they're a little sneaky too. So you don't want to just pick favorites on the early leads, ones that may fly a little bit under the radar. And so what is that? So we've labeled this Quiet Q1, Quiet Quadrant 1. And what are the characteristics? Well, we want to have one or two horses with a clear Q1 advantage. In our example here, we're using Tampa race 4 tomorrow. So maybe we can see what we can do tomorrow in terms of getting this home. So Q1 advantage, that would be the 3 and the 6, and you see in our example below, both on the standard and surface distance plot. It's a paceless race. We want snowflake average contention. In this race, we have average contention and speed rating that's below average. It's 15. We want usually less than 20. And then it's heavy on late pace run styles. And you can see that little math here that we do in the middle. It's mostly PCs, so it's very heavy on late pace types. So the run styles and many of the horses in this race are to close. In fact, one of our Q1 horses is that. And I love that little angle where you have a horse that maybe sneaky speed that hasn't been showing it, or you know, has a run style that's flexible and just gets the right pace scenario today, and that might be the number 3. So we'll get into that a little bit more as we evaluate the contenders. Okay. So the checklist, we know we want the Q1 runners, so we're going to evaluate the 3 and the 6. I'm going to flip over to the grid here and keep that checklist open so we can kind of look at it at the same time. And I'm going to start. Let me just get rid of this. Let's start then with the number 3, Double D, who was the number 3 horse. And you can see this last race, he was a no keep. Just to note, that was on a good track, kind of the first time he was ever on a good firm versus a firm turf course. And that was kind of really a loose track, so I wouldn't hold that too much against him. He didn't keep up. The race before on a firm track, he popped, hard lead, dual grit, show grit, and that is one of the criteria here that we want to see in a horse run a good race with those characteristics. So he kind of checks the box there. He has a minimal of no finishes. You don't see many no finishes. He had one here, and that's against much better on the grass. So that's I would say we check that box. He has no recent gate issues. This horse typically gets out of the gate fine, so there's no issues there. He's proven at the surface and distance, not the track. He's never run over this track. Let me just clear this out. But take a look at if we were to just do a filter on this horse on dirt versus turf. You can see this horse is a much better record on dirt, and you can see he's won 3 times. And it's also at today's surface and distance, so that's a good thing here. So it just shows you that this horse is proven, not at the track, and some horses do take to Tampa, some others don't, so that'll be a factor. But so far so good with this horse. Is he dropping in class? Well, if you can see, we're going to switch over to our V bars here, and we're going to look at class competition, and you can see he's way up there. So he is dropping, right? I'm not quite sure about the last race, but overall, this horse has been running against better horses. And if we can excuse that last race, being on that really kind of loose turf, then we're in good shape. And then good front running jockey gets a switch here to a very positive switch to Camacho, who's a very good jockey in his own right, front running. And he's 5-1 in the morning line, so he is the non-favorite. We'll be looking for non-favorites. Q1 horses are not like Q4 horses. They're not going to be as long in terms of price. Q1 horses do win above average. So what we're looking for is a horse that's just a non-favorite that maybe we can either single him in the multi-race wagers or key in exactas, first and second, and in exotics and so forth. So we're just looking for kind of a non-favorite scenario here. We make it a little better than that with this horse. So he's a viable contender tomorrow based on our Quiet Q1. I'm not going to go through the 6. I would ask you to kind of go through the same thing with the number 6, the other one, and see which one you like better. But based on this, the number 3 Double Deep is a viable candidate in race 4 as part of a Quiet Q1 at Tampa.